Okay, so the other day I nearly got my head blown off. Literally, no joke. So I knew this guy who was a drug addict, and he was talking smack about me, which is fine, that happens all the time. But then he talked smack about my daughter, and that was not cool. The next day I drove to his trailer and decided to take care of things the Texas way. But before that, everyone warned me. They said, look, this guy's been doing drugs for an entire week, and he has guns in the house. I really quickly found out everything they warned me about was true. So, what's the point? The point is that we do foolish things out of love. Sometimes we do beautiful things because of love. So let's talk about Hugo's, the restaurant. We go back a long ways, about 15 years. So 15 years ago, I was living just down the street, some nasty, rat-infested apartment. I was a young engineer. But I would walk by Hugo's at a drive-by and so forth, and I knew, wow, that's a really fancy kind of a place. And definitely the type of place that I couldn't afford to go to. And definitely not a place where I'd spend a whole lot of time in. But in the back of my head, I thought, you know what, man, if I ever had a daughter, if that day ever came, that's the place I would definitely celebrate her quinceanera at. Dreams do come true.
Nice.
So I didn't have my daughter, Heidi, on her first birthday, but I was here, so we were celebrating. You saw the photo a bit earlier. I celebrated with a friend here at Hugo's in her absence. So what did we do? We had some tears, we had a couple drinks, and we had a big, thick slice of tres leches cake.
Nice.
Every year since, we've celebrated her birthday or my birthday with tres leches cake. No questions about it. Sooner, tonight, we got a couple of cakes up front. You're going to experience the same treat that we did. So fast forward a couple of years, I'm broke. I'm paying lawyers out the wazoo. I don't have a lot of friends. Things aren't looking really great. But I do have my little girl. So we actually ended up spending an Easter Sunday brunch at a $10 buffet. No joke. And then that same Thanksgiving, we had turkey sitting next to homeless people, sitting next to immigrants at Mattress Max Gallery Furniture Store. But you know what? That was the best meal I ever had. No question about it. And I was with my little girl. That's all that mattered. Fast forward another couple of years, and I decided it'd be a good idea to show my daughter a dead body. No joke. So we were in Memorial Park, which is actually just down the street from here, a beautiful park in Houston. And we were kicking the ball around, going around the track, having a good time. And a couple of runners approached us and said, listen, you guys need to turn around. Like, you don't want to go any further. Like, just trust us, get back to your car and go home. Obviously, I was a little bit disturbed. I'm not really knowing what's going on. And of course, I ignored them and said, okay, thank you, but we're going to move further. We're going to keep going on our way. Well, sure enough, as I approached, I saw a dead cyclist with a sheet over a white sheet. And I automatically paused. I was like, oh man, should I turn around? Or can I somehow turn this into a teachable moment? A way to teach my daughter about the circle of life. The idea that we come from dust and we return to dust. Sure enough, she saw everything. And she was more bored than anything. All she wanted to do was get back to Dora the Explorer. But you know what, looking back, I think she had the healthiest attitude towards life and death. That's exactly how we should view it, through the eyes of a child. So where was Heidi born? She was born in the bottom of a vodka bottle. Let me explain. So I used to be a young party guy, okay? A couple of my old party buddies are here. And I occasionally would go on these drinking benders, right? And during this time, you think of the companies you were going to buy when you become a billionaire. Think about all these goals you have in life. Think about the things you're going to do, all the good stuff in your life that's going on. But you're also thinking about how depressing your life is, how lonely you are, and the existential angst you have. And the fear that you will die and nobody will care a bit about that. It kind of makes you want to pass on your genes, to leave a legacy, to leave something behind. Now, if that sounds selfish, you're probably right. It was selfish. Our genes are selfish. I was acting out of selfishness when I decided I wanted to have a child. So like a little miniature me. You know? It's not always that easy, unfortunately. But I think to a Jewish parable, that's very powerful. It says, in order for a man to have a fulfilling life, he must plant a tree, write a book, and have a son. So I planted a tree when I was a kid. Recently I published a book, and 2 out of 3 ain't backwards. So I sometimes wonder, is life a gift? Is it a good thing? Were we brought on this world just to suffer? I remember a conversation I had with a homeless man who told me, he said every day he woke up, he was thankful because the Lord let him live another day. It's a good response, a good attitude, but I wasn't quite sure I believed it. I was a little bit negative about that. I often regret bringing Heidi into this world. All the horrible things happened just recently. Why would anyone want to bring a child into this kind of madness, into this kind of imperfection, this kind of suffering? What cruel person would do that? I still go through these things in my head. My daughter shouldn't even be here. She was a breech baby. If she was born, perhaps a century ago, her and her mom would have died a horrible, painful death. To make matters worse, a few years ago, she underwent major spinal surgery. Major spinal surgery. The surgeons literally split her open like a lobster after it's been boiled alive. This is the kind of stuff Vikings did to their enemies. It was horrifying. For me, it was horrifying. All I could do was pace, worry, suffer anxiety, and I just wished they would do it to me instead, and not my daughter. I still have flashbacks about that. Cold sweats. Even when she recovered from the surgery, she's laying in bed and she's still suffering immensely. The opium isn't working. Nothing is working. She's crying. You saw the photo of her after surgery. All I could do was tell her, embrace the hurt. That's all we can do. It will pass. Now, she understands that even the good times will also pass. Something to bear in mind as we move forward. So who is Heidi? She's me. She's me. But without the bad stuff, without the flaws, without the stuff that annoys other people. I love children. There's a couple of children here. I love them because they're big innocents. Children embody what humans could be, what they used to be. What we should all strive for, innocence and purity. Children are innocent until the age of reason. That's the time that they're actually capable of committing sins, according to the eyes of the church. It's a cruel world, it's an ugly world, and maybe Heidi's innocence and naivete, you might call it, is a good thing, because it isolates her from a lot of bad stuff that I would rather not see. I am glad to say I never laid a hand on my baby girl, but make no mistake, my words have been cruel. Sometimes my words have been more painful than spanking. Yes, it's unfortunately true. I've not been the perfect parent. I've had my shortcomings. I've been cruel at times. I've been impatient, demanding. And to this day, my actions, when I was short of the mark have caused me great guilt. There's no question about it. But sometimes parental guilt can be a good thing because it tells us that we can always do better as parents. We can always strive to do just a little more. It's funny because I remember my time in the military. If you screwed up, and you always do, that eventually always happens, if you screw up, you're given two options, all right? You can clean the toilets for a week straight, or we can get the biggest guy in the squad to punch you in the face, and you'll probably fly across the room. You choose. If you chose to clean toilets, you actually got both. So, something to ponder when you're pressed with those decisions. So look, my point is that pressure breaks pipes. There's no question about it. Pressure can do damage. But pressure can also build diamonds. A few weeks ago, my daughter got into the octagon ring to spar mixed martial arts with grown men. No question about it. She held her own and did amazingly well. I got my daughter into an elite public school. Some of her classmates are here. Granted, she's the poor blue-collar girl of her class, but she's happy and she's doing great. She's on the soccer team. Memorial High School finished 4th in the state of Texas. That's no small feat. She suited up, showed up, went to practice. That's all I can ask for. She represented something bigger than herself, and that's more than any parent can ask. And if that wasn't enough, now she decided she's going to also join cross country. Wow, there's nothing my little daughter cannot do. Heidi is also my disciple. I'm using biblical language, but that's absolutely true. She's never, ever abandoned me, even when I deserved it. Oftentimes, she's been the only friend I got. No different than Christ's disciples. She believed in me when others didn't. She's represented the best in Mexican culture, in the idea of absolute and complete loyalty. No question. No questions asked. Folks, I'm holding back the years. I'm trying hard to fight a losing battle. I never liked seeing her in makeup. She's in heels. She might even have a boyfriend at some time. This drives me absolutely insane. And I admit, maybe I'm just Peter Pan. I'm a 47-year-old Peter Pan father who wishes his daughter lived like Benjamin Button, who grew up backwards, born old, died young. Maybe these are all pipe dreams. I do remember that she read the Bible from cover to cover at a very young age. After that, she tore right through Fyodor Dostoevsky's book, The Brothers Karamazov. It's a very lengthy work of literature. But most notably, I gave her an encyclical, the Catholic encyclical, written by Popes John Paul II and Pope Benedict XVI. Very, very heavy stuff, but very meaningful stuff. She read it in an instant. Very quickly, she began to explain to me what exactly was in this. She said, Father, there's 3 types of love. Eros, agape, philos. I was blown away, and at that moment, I realized my daughter has arrived as a thinking person. So you might ask, when will I finally give her up? Maybe never, and that's okay. Thank you. All right, folks, let's eat.